Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about understanding password attacks. There's a lot of topics to go over, so let's just jump right into it. Number one, let's start with password spraying. This is a common attack for hackers. They tend to go for a lot of different accounts instead of going for any specific ones, and they go through a database of accounts that, they don't know the passwords to. And they'll try all the basic passwords that a lot of people actually use, surprisingly, like 1234556 or password. Using these as your password is a huge security risk. Because attacks like these happen, they actually do genuinely gain access to accounts that are unprotected like this. And they don't use too many passwords like this per account to avoid lockout and to avoid suspicion. But again, this works. And this is how they gain access to accounts that they should not have access to. Dictionary attacks. Now, this uses a common list of passwords and words, okay? And they try each one on an account. Now, this is similar to password spraying, but it's probably just it like overlaps in this case. They can use it in a lot of accounts or they can use it in one specific one. And this works because, as long as the password is super simple and use the least amount of letters and numbers, they might actually gain access to any specific account or any general account. Again, it can overlap with password spraying. Brute force attacks. Now, this is not just for passwords, but this is in general, for this topic, it is for passwords. They will use every possible combination of letters, numbers, and symbols on a specific account, including getting locked out of that account for a period of time. And they will use it over and over and over again until they can gain access. This is guaranteed to work if they don't have any lockouts. It's very effective and you can automate this process. Now, very impressive stuff. As your cybersecurity analyst, you have the responsibility to make sure that passwords that are inputted incorrectly lock out the account so that you can inform the owner of that account to change the name and the passwords of those accounts. Brute force attacks, they're effective. They're effective because they work. And unless you have that kind of, buffer, it's just you're vulnerable. Everybody's vulnerable. Luckily, most of us do have that buffer. It's, again, slower than dictionary attacks, but more thorough. That's the topic of brute force attacks. This is actually a pretty important concept. So remember this one specifically. Rainbow tables. Now, this actually comes into the notion of hashes for companies or any kind of account holding companies. Hashes are how they encrypt your passwords. Like your password is not just going to be on a list, right? If that was on a list, that would be really bad. It's a very bad practice. That all of your passwords would be encrypted in hashes. Now, if a group of hackers were to gain access to a list of hashed passwords, what they would do is they would quickly try and reverse that encryption by going through all of the really basic passwords 123456, password, all that, and they will connect those words and those numbers with the hashes, kind of like a decryptor, a manual decryptor, or an automated decryptor, and they'll find what these words mean, and they'll be able to fill in the blanks for some other passwords that might be simple as well. This pretty much undoes that decryption, and then that list of hashes becomes a list of plain passwords. This only really works if they get access to that hash list. This is a very difficult list to get. You'd have to actually get access to that physically or through a really effective cyber attack, and it's usually only done on companies. You're not going to have the list of hash passwords. It's going to be Google or Bank of America or something like that. Plain text and unencrypted passwords. Remember when I said companies do the hash thing? This is the opposite. This is them not doing the hash thing. This is them having a plain text file with all of your passwords on it. If they gain access to this, there is no buffer time. There is no chance for them to inform people to change their passwords. It's just going to fail out. And there's no chance for them to change the hashes either to protect those passwords. Again, this is just unbelievably irresponsible of any company. If you work for a company that does this, inform them that they need to, upgrade their system, upgrade their security measures to hashing the passwords, encrypting the passwords, and if they say no, preferably you find a new line of work. Well, not a line of work, or you find a new job in that line of work and not work for those people because that is a liability waiting to happen. Now let's go to the exam practice. Like I say in every video, this may be on the test. I won't tell you if it's on the test, so pay attention. Question 1. What is the primary characteristic of a brute force attack? A. Trying every possible combination of characters until the correct password is found. B. Using a list of common passwords to guess a password. C. Exploiting vulnerabilities in a system to bypass authentication. D. Infecting a system with malware to steal login credentials. I'll give you a second. Answer is A. Trying every possible combination of characters until the correct password is found. This is usually done automated. It's not done by hand. If you do it by hand, you'll go insane. There's too many combinations. It's usually automated process. And when I say usually, it's 100% of the time an automated process. There's no way a human being can do a brute force attack by hand. 2. How are rainbow tables used in password attacks? A. They are used to store pre-computated hash values and their corresponding plaintext passwords to crack passwords more quickly. B. They generated random passwords until the correct one is found. C. They log every keystroke to capture passwords. D. They encrypt passwords to prevent unauthorized access. I'll give you a second. Answer is A. They are used to store pre-computated hash values and their corresponding plaintext passwords to crack passwords more quickly. Remember, they get access to hash lists of passwords. They break it through very basic passwords. They'll find the little connections between the hash and the letters or the symbols or the numbers. Then they start decrypting it piece by piece. It's pretty effective. It takes a little while, but it's very effective actually. Thank you for joining me in this video. We were talking about understanding password attacks, and we've gone through a lot of different topics today. Please join me on the next video. I'll see you then. Thank you.